So, who are the wealthiest people to have lived in the history of mankind? This is the question that will fortunately be answered here after compiling the list of the 10 richest people who have ever lived. The video takes into consideration the inflation rates throughout history. Let's begin. First up is Genghis Khan. This is quite an interesting bit of trivia. Genghis Khan is mostly known for his military prowess, but not for the fact that he owned so much land that he could easily make him a billionaire nowadays. He was the leader of the Mongol Empire, which at its peak stretched from China all the way through Europe. In spite of his apparent wealth, Genghis Khan is said to have been very humble. He rarely showed opulence, and everything that he had of great value was shared among his soldiers and commanders. Number 2, Bill Gates. Unsurprisingly, Bill Gates deserves a special mention in this list as currently the richest living person in the world. The former CEO of Microsoft has a net worth that is estimated at a whopping $78.9, about $8 billion higher than the second richest living person in the world, who is Amancio Ortega, Zara's co-founder. Number 3, Alan Rufus. Alan Rufus was the nephew of William the Conqueror, who joined him in the Norman Conquest. Historians say that he died with around 11,000 euros at his disposal, which amounted to 7% of England's GDP in the old times. Today, that would represent about 194 billion. Number 4, John D. Rockefeller. The notorious petroleum magnate was in charge of 90% of the American oil production by 1880, which earned him a total fortune of 1.5 billion in assets at the time. This represented 2% of the U.S. economic output. Today, the same amount of money represents a whopping 341 billion. Number 5, Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie may not be the richest man that ever lived, but he surely was richer than the Rockefellers, amounting a whopping 480 million due to his successful U.S. steel sell to J.P. Morgan in 1901. The same amount of money equates to around 372 billion today. Number 6, Joseph Stalin. Stalin is widely known for his outstanding URSS leadership, but very few know that he was technically indirectly in control of 9.6% of the global GDP at the time. While that money didn't belong to him directly, he was very influential and no legal entity could stop him from having all of it for his personal interest. Number 7, Akbar I. Akbar the Great was India's Mughal industry dynasty leader, a very influential empire that at the time of its existence was worth 1/4 of global economic output. Many economists compare the dynasty's economic power to the one of Elizabeth's England, with the only difference being that Akbar and all the elite class enjoyed the inherent opulence, as opposed to England's relative humblessness. Number 8, Emperor Shenzong. Emperor Shenzong was in charge of the Song dynasty of China, one of the most economically active and powerful entities of the world at the time. Unlike other empires, the dynasty's economic prowess was situated very highly at around 25 to 30% of the world's economic output. All of this was possible due to the fact that China traded a lot of technological innovations to their less advanced Western counterparts, and that their tax collection strategies and performance was way ahead of its time. Number 9, Augustus Caesar. Not only did Augustus Caesar at some point have the entire Egypt for his personal pleasure, but he was in charge of an empire that accounted for 25 to 30% of the world's economic output that stretched to multiple continents. He also was in direct possession of some of that wealth. Experts estimate he was in direct possession of today what would be about 4.6 trillion. No, I did not say that wrong. Number 10, Mansa Musa. You might not be very familiar with this name, but we guarantee that this guy is the richest that all of humanity has ever seen. Why? Because no one actually knows how much he owned, but only that he had a lot and that his sumptuous spending once caused an economic crisis in Egypt. Most sources refer to him as the King of West Africa, which owned a veritable gold prospecting industry. As a result of this prosperous business, Mansa Musa is oftentimes depicted in ancient pictures wearing a gold crown, a gold scepter, and even gold-plated clothes, accompanied by an all-encompassing army of 40,000, which not even modern nations can instantly dispose of.